Do you guys remember this hand from about 10 years ago on high stakes poker? At the time, it was my favorite hand in televised poker history. It showed the differences between the online players and the old live players. Tom Dwan was probably the best player in the world, along with maybe Phil Gelfand. And Ivy, obviously, considered the best player of all time. He had the button, and Durr squeezed the big blind with 9/8 suited after like four limpers. It really shows the difference in styles between the two players. Tom Dwan used more of a game theoretical approach to the strategy, whereas Ivy used his reading abilities, which is why Ivy didn't fold ace-6 suited on the button. There's something to be said about Ivy's prowess in position. But Ivy knows that he's got the better hand here. And the whole point of this video is this notion that a lot of times in poker or in life, there's two conflicting ideas going on at the same time, and it makes a decision extremely hard to make. In this particular pot, the spot is probably overbluffed. At least Ivy thinks there's overbluffing here at some frequency. And he can feel it deep down. He knows that there's bluffing, but he can't put the money in. Why? Because Durr's range and pot and nut advantage are so much that he could be bluffing with a better hand than Ivy's hand. Ivy doesn't articulate this, but he knows deep down. This is why poker's so beautiful. It's the only game in the world that's going to make someone like Phil Ivey think. A $268,000 bet on the river? This is real money we're talking about. But these conflicting ideas, what I want to dwell on. I uploaded this video before with a mistake, and I felt it deep down that I made a mistake. I I ran the wrong range for one of the players in this simulation that I'm going to show you guys in a bit. And I knew deep down there was something wrong with the video, but I couldn't pinpoint it. It was late. I wanted just to get a video out. And luckily I have a lot of friends in poker, and my one friend caught it and he told me that there was a mistake. So I took the video down, but deep down I knew there was this conflicting idea in the video. Even though I think when we'll see it's not going to change it much, there was definitely a mistake. And sometimes you have to go with your gut. Sometimes you know that you're over bluffing or under bluffing a spot. And that's sort of the main idea of the hand I'm about to show you. I knew to make the decision, and yet I didn't. And we're going to back it up with the solver evidence. But yeah, Phil Ivey does end up folding, but he knows deep down that there's bluffing. So here's the ranges I'm going to give myself and my opponent. It was a 3-bet pot and I had I'm sorry, it was a 4-bet pot and I had pocket eights. I was on the button and he was in the cutoff. So here's my range from the button. These in purple are at 50% frequency and the rest are at 100. I don't have a 5 betting range at these stakes. Probably should. And here's his very tight range. I put 20% pocket 10s and pocket 5s. I think he just folds pocket 10s so often. I don't ever think he does it with pocket 9s. I have jacks at 50. Seems correct. And I have my charts do it something like 50%. So the flop was 7-6 deuce mono, as you can see here. But I had a node lock this small 25% pot bet because I actually gave it a few different sizes on the flop, and uh, since we were pretty deep, it actually liked a bigger bet with its this range. So it's good to keep in mind that maybe when your range consists of only the nuts and it's basically 7 high and there's no straights yet there, that you should be just betting bid with your extreme range advantage and basic. And since the other guy can't have the, well, he could have the nuts with sevens, only 50% of the time. Uh, you should be betting probably big. But the metagame sort of calls for a smaller bet. Uh, a lot of people in 4-bet pots don't really know what to do with their range, so they bet 1/3. I'm sorry, 1/4, which is what I have here. So he bets here, and they want me to call with my full range, uh, especially with pocket eights. So remember, the board's right here. The turn was the ace of clubs, and it likes to check from basically the full range. We're just going to go ahead and round this up to 100%, since I don't really think it's that interesting to get into doing stuff at 10% frequency, especially that I think checking here with 100% frequency is pretty much the best play anyways. So with my range, what we do when it's checked to pocket eights is it says to um, it says to check here when we only give when it only gives me a overbet here with the stack sizes. Now in game, and I've talked to this when I used a range that was wider than this, I ended up getting a I ended up getting a bet here, and I think if we do bet, the solver uh, the solver would fold out queens. And if you do see a bet, and now I didn't node lock this, but I should node lock this. I think this shows the same thing anyways. It folds out its queens. So he had pocket queens. He had the queen of diamonds. He had red queens. I'll lock this here. He had this combo right here. Doesn't really matter. They're all folding anyways. So is pocket kings. Obviously ace 5 folds. Oh wait, ace 5. I forgot that it turns to ace. But so ace 5, it's pure folds. Wow. Wow. But anyways, the point is I knew to bet. I was going to bet half pot with my pocket eights and then check back and then shove the river. But the solver actually, oops, the solver actually doesn't like it when I bet bet eights and then bet again on the river. It likes a check back. I think this is an all in. I think it's giving it an all in. Yeah, it's giving it an all in. I think if I node lock this to not be able to give this an all in, you'll see that here we'll do it right now. We'll see that it will be a little bit different than uh hopefully this will do it. So here we are. I no locked it to only bet small or pot or jam, and it because of that it likes the check back better. But I knew in real time that pocket eights would probably get a fold from this player, and it goes back to this notion that I wanted to talk about with Ivy and Durr that sometimes you know the right answer, and even if it isn't solver approved, he would have probably folded queens. And it is easy to be results oriented because this is his range. Sorry, this is his range. And but it does fold out everything. It does fold out queens if you bet the turn. And that's why checking is so tough here. That's why that turn card is so tough here. Because if I just jam turn, he has to fold queens. I think it's an interesting idea to talk about, to dwell on. Poker's a very hard game. Sometimes you just gotta go with your gut. It'd be it would be awesome to find the bet here on the turn with pocket eights. It ended up being the ace of diamonds on the river, and I checked and he checked, and of course he wins with pocket queens. But I knew deep down that I should have at least jammed or at least bet a little bit. would have been pretty sick if he made that call. But anyways, here's the hand. Thanks for watching.